From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning, I'm Brooke Jensen, and here are your 10 a.m. news headlines. Before we get started, we're going to check in with our producer, Madison Buckingham. So how's it going today, Maddie?
I'm doing great, thanks, Brooke. We'll just give you a quick rundown of what's going on in the newsroom today. For starters, our reporter Chris is chasing BC's announcement to target short-term rentals, looking into who this impacts with tenancy rates and the economy and the uphill battle with the housing crisis. Nick over there on our reporter side is also doing how the community is supporting teachers of Hazel Trebeth Elementary after the fire this past weekend, what fundraisers parents are organizing to get those affected back on their feet. And finally, Oogie, our last reporter, is doing Snow Angels program, a seasonal volunteer support for elders and disabled population in colder months with the snow, plus a look at this year's winter forecast. And then finally, we have a couple of features for Ben's For the Record. We're doing focused on loneliness in the senior population, why it's such a problem for this age group, and how it is being combated with community groups and hobbies. And finally, for our feature for the week, Sonia is looking into BC's government rejecting emergency orders preventing logging in the habitat of endangered spotted owl and the socioeconomic and legal impacts. I'll turn it back to you. Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you, Maddie. And interesting you brought up that Nick is chasing the elementary school story, because after Hazel Trebeth Elementary School was destroyed in Coquitlam, plans are being made to provide educational needs for the 215 students that are now without a school. And the Coquitlam RCMP is still investigating the fire and is advising for people to keep away from the area due to potential hazardous air qualities and road closures. A charge is now being laid in connection to the death of Jodine Miller from Coquitlam, who was reported missing more than a year ago. The Integrated Homicide Investigation Team, or IHIT, says 30-year-old Carson McKay was arrested in Calgary and charged with second-degree murder. IHIT is working with the Coquitlam and Calgary RCMP to bring justice to Miller and her family. After a month-long strike, Bill Ford, the executive chairman of Ford, is calling for auto workers to come together. During a contract talk in Michigan, Ford made a speech saying how high labor costs could limit future investment the company makes.
If we lose it, we will lose to the competition. America loses. Many jobs will be lost. So will future investments.
More than 4,000 people have died since the Hamas attack in Israel. Israeli forces are now positioned along Gaza's border, and Yoav Gallant, the Israeli defense minister, says Israel will do what it needs to do to defend itself.
This will be a long war. The price will be high, but we are going to win for Israel, for the Jewish people, and for the values that both countries believe in.
1 million people have fled their homes in Gaza in anticipation of an invasion, and the hospitals are nearly out of supplies. Speaking of Gaza, Ottawa is now evacuating Canadians in Palestine's West Bank near the Mediterranean. However, whether or not those waiting at the Rafah Gate, the border between Gaza and Egypt, will be able to evacuate is unclear, as the border is still closed. And into some lighter entertainment news, if you need to distract yourself with some music, you can join Swifties everywhere for Taylor Swift's concert film, The Eras Tour. The film immediately shot to number 1 in the box office this weekend, making between $95 and $97 million, according to AMC Theaters. The show will be in theaters for 13 weeks, with at least 4 shows a day, 5 days a week. And getting into today's weather, unsurprisingly, it's raining and will be for most of the day, and to prepare yourself for any possible thunders late this afternoon. Despite the showers, it's still warm with a high of 16 and a low of 12 degrees. That was your news for 10 a.m. I'm Brooke Jensen, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
This is for the record on 1680 The Crow, and I'm Yulia Sonova. Today we will be talking about how to conquer the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, that nagging feeling of self-doubt and fear of being fake, and the sense that you don't deserve your own success. Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where the individuals, regardless of their achievements and qualifications, doubt their abilities and fear being exposed as a fraud. It affects people across various fields, from students to professionals, and even high achievers. Today, Dr. Nancy McKay, the founder of McKay CEO Forums, will share some of her strategies to conquer it.
I'm the founder and CEO of McKay CEO Forums, and I started the company 18 years ago because I could see that it was lonely at the top, and I wanted to help CEOs come together so that they can solve their toughest problems together.
How would you define the imposter syndrome?
Just to simplify it, it's really about self-doubt. When you take on a new challenge, then oftentimes, because you haven't been there and done that before, you have self-doubt. And it's very, very common, and it's just part of being human. And I think we need to just tell the truth about that it's everybody experiences self-doubt, and that the most important thing is to realize that it doesn't mean that you can't do it or you shouldn't move forward with something. It just means that you're human, and all humans experience self-doubt.
Can you share your experience with imposter syndrome and how you overcame it?
When I first quit my job and I became an entrepreneur, and I experienced 90 days of panic attacks. I thought I was dying of a heart attack, and it was really a severe level of imposter syndrome, self-doubt. Am I really up for this, becoming an entrepreneur? And so how I overcame it was I went to see my doctor at the time, and then she basically explained that I wasn't having a heart attack, it was just panic attacks. And that's what happens when you take on a new challenge, and you it's just it's something that it shouldn't stop you from going after your goals. So how to overcome it is reach out for help is definitely a strategy. The other is ongoing is I do daily meditation, and I have for over 25 years, and that really helps me stay focused on the here and the now, and not listen to self-doubt, but really focus on what are my goals and what do I want to accomplish. And I would say the third thing is a daily mantra, which is what I use is a daily mantra that is, I'm enough, I'm a gem, I'm a beautiful person, I'm a lovable person. It's just a way of getting my being present in the moment and stepping into my success, and not letting the negative self-doubt thoughts get in the way of my success.
How can individuals differentiate between realistic self-assessment and their irrational self-doubt associated with the imposter syndrome?
That's a good one. My first response to that is basically that, look, if you set a goal and you surround yourself with people who have been there and done that before, and they basically validate that, yes, this is entirely possible, then that's a good validation that it's just self-doubt that is getting in the way. But if you surround yourself with people who've been there and done that before, and they look at you and say, well, if you really want to achieve that goal, this is what it's going to take, or there are some goals that people set that it's not possible simply because of your age or because of your physical abilities or what have you, right? So you can validate whether or not it's possible by surrounding yourself with people who have been there and done that before and asking them for their honest feedback.
Can you offer some final words of encouragement or advice for listeners who may be struggling with imposter syndrome?
Well, I think the number one tip would be surround yourself with game changers. And these are people that have been there and done that before, whatever goal that you're trying to accomplish. And they'll help you realize that it actually is possible, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So, for example, when I was studying to get my PhD, I reached out to people who had been there and done that before. They got their PhD, and they were able to do it part-time and in a short period of time, which is what my goal was. And so it's always, anytime you set yourself a big challenge, you want to find other people who have been there and done it before so that you can get all the shortcuts and you can have greater courage and confidence to achieve your goal with much greater ease and with greater confidence and courage.
Remember that imposter syndrome is a common challenge and it doesn't define you. With the right mindset and strategies, you can conquer it and unlock your full potential. You're capable and deserving of your success. Thank you for listening. For the record, on 1680 The Crow, and I'm Gloisonova.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettenero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning. This is Anthony Atanisov with 1680 The Crow, and I'm here with your morning news update. More than 4,000 people have died in the last 10 days since Hamas attacked Israel, and 1 million people have fled their homes in Gaza ahead of an expected Israeli invasion. Palestinians in Gaza are seeking refuge in schools and hospitals with living essentials such as water dwindling. Reporter Ian Pannell has more on the situation in Gaza.
Israeli troops amassing at the border with Gaza, poised to strike. The country's mobilized around 360,000 reservists, vowing to crush Hamas, the militant group behind last week's bloody attack in Israel. And the number of people taken hostage now confirmed as 199.
Global Affairs is focused on trying to find 3 Canadians still missing, and it's working to get up to 300 Canadians and their relatives out of Gaza. More on the situation in Israel. The first group of Canadians from the West Bank have safely crossed into Jordan on Monday. Canada is still trying to find the best exit strategy in working with Israel and Jordan. Global Affairs Canada Assistant Deputy Minister Julie Foley says so far no one has been able to leave through the Seoul crossing to Egypt from the Palestinian city of Rafah.
The situation at the Rafah gate is incredibly complex, and nobody got through that gate yesterday. In terms of what we're doing, we're engaging with all interlocutors, both in capitals and in the region, to be able to get an option for people to be able to exit.
To date, 5 Canadians have been killed thus far. Moving on to British Columbia, students and teachers alike that were displaced by a fire at Hazel Trembath Elementary School in Port Coquitlam, BC on Saturday will be relocated to a new building in the district. The local school board chair says a short-term solution will consist of having students move to the Winslow Center in Coquitlam. RCMP had asked locals to stay away from the area out of caution that there are still hazardous particles in the air, and Coquitlam RCMP are still continuing their investigation on who and what caused the fire. Ford's executive chairman has called on auto workers to come together and end a month-long strike. Bill Ford criticized the walkout by members of the United Auto Workers Union.
We've offered a record contract which would make our UAW employees among the best paid manufacturing workers in the world. Despite this, the UAW leaders decided to escalate and strike our Kentucky truck plant last week.
The longer the strike, the more disadvantaged Ford will be in the market relative to other competitors such as Honda or Tesla. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh's support is declining among his party. After receiving 81% of the confidence vote at the convention, Singh still believes he is the right candidate for the job.
I would say I've got a strong mandate, and New Democrats are saying get out and work harder. I'm going to get out and work harder.
The confidence vote is the lowest for an NDP leader since Tom Mulcair back in 2016. Still on British Columbia, the BC government will be putting a legislation on Monday targeting short-term rentals. Companies that will be most impacted include Airbnb, VRBO, and this discussion mainly revolves around a study that shows short-term rentals in BC were actually driving up prices on the long-term market by almost 20% in communities. Premier David Eby and Housing Minister Ravi Kahlon will be speaking in the next few minutes. Update on what was said will be provided on my next update. And on to Vancouver sports. The Vancouver Canucks won their second game of the season against the Oilers in Edmonton on Saturday. Sam Lafferty gave the Canucks the advantage when he made it 4-3 in the late period. It's the first time in 7 years since the Canucks have won the first 2 games in a row to start their season. Now moving on to weather right now, well, it's less than ideal. 13 degrees with rain, and it's looking like it'll stay that way at least until about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, with showers subsiding late into the evening. And that was your morning news update. This is Anthony Atanosov with 1680 The Crow. I'll see you later for the next update.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
fast because my heart is going a bit too fast, so I'm going to slow it down a bit.
We're like middlemen straight from the creator making these moves.
We're all kind of misfits.
Something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important. Like usually I'll just be like, grab my arm, and then you just kind of like pull them like a T-bar, you know?
I think skateboarding is a piece of medicine in itself.
We're just doing the work in hopes that eventually we'll have chapters of other nations' skate youth in other parts of Turtle Island.
It's nations, skate yours.
Nation Skate Youth started in my living room, organically. I was asked to go to Fort St. John to talk about mental health and bring skateboarding. I didn't know who to bring, and the first person I thought of was Joe Buffalo. Big inspiration in my life.
Joe came up with the name. It didn't really click at first, but after a while we made the logo and everything, and it all just came together so fast.
I think one of my main goals when I started Nations was to get more skate parks on reserves. We realized that this would be a bigger thing, to not just go to one community. We wanted to go to all the communities.
We all wanted to, create something that was like a youth program to help empower like youths through skateboarding. It's a way of getting yourself out of your own shell. And I feel like in a lot of First Nations communities, there's not a lot to do in those communities. It's very small, and sometimes you feel like you're trapped. A lot of them are really nervous when we first meet them. And I feel like when we always start with a talking circle. So it's like we tell our stories, and we kind of we try to make them feel comfortable, and tell them why we're there, and what we're gonna do in the day.
Everyone here is a new beginner or has skated before, and we're here to help each other. If you fall down, take a breath, get back up.
Everything's that way in the beginning, you know what I mean? You're gonna feel out of place when you're beginning, you know what I mean? That's normal. But once you meet your crowd, and that's half the battle with us growing up, is trying to find your people so that they grow with them from a young age as family members, and then they grow as skateboarders.
Gives you like a sense of identity too, you know? Like every time I went to school, I'd always be like, I can't wait to go skate after, or having that, something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important when you're a kid.
Especially having a brother. It's easier to influence each other to do things, and you progress faster because of that. And it's like always having a friend there, and always having that safety net in a sense.
Skating is something that we grew up doing together. I feel like that kept us close, Skateboarding is part of my identity, and my family is part of my identity.
Just let skateboarding do its thing. It's that rich, you know? All we do is connect and instill that, plant that seed. It's something I never had growing up, you know?
Seeing Joe skateboard at his level and hearing that he went to the residential school and the way that kids, like, you know, oh, my dad went to residential school. Oh, my brother did. Oh, my mom did. You know, they start to relate. And I think that, you know, it's been a healing journey. Skateboarding, like I said, will take you out of all the negative, all the darkness that you feel. And once you get on a skateboard, that's an opportunity for you just to focus on something and be present.
Like even in my community, there's suicides like every year. And it's really sad because you lose knowledge keepers, you lose, you know, momentum. Like you lose just youth that have a lot of potential. And I remember Rosie, that was the biggest reason why she wanted to start Nations.
You know, to talk about alcohol, drugs, and suicide, because it's happening and they're so young and they see it and they're experiencing it. And just to let them know, like, that they're valued.
It kind of stops that intergenerational trauma because it's a lot of self-doubt, and skateboarding kind of gives you that, you know, that recognition that like it's not, yeah, it just gives you that freedom to express yourself.
Hell yeah.
So today I was skateboarding on the skate park and I was just learning. I was a little nervous at first, but then I got the hang of it. You made me feel happy. Okay, can we do that again?
Yeah, let's do it again. Okay, I'll go on this side of you.
Because he is a good skateboarder and he taught me how to do some tricks. Apple turnover and like tic-tac.
When you have someone believing in you and cheering you on, like that whole feeling, and that's how I try to do with Nations, you know, like you got it, you're there, and the just like the inspiring and like the empowerment you get from that, it's a good feeling. We want the youth to be their best selves. We want them to know that everything isn't going to be easy. But once they start skateboarding and you can see that they're pushing on their own and they're able to do tricks right away, and I think that's something that is so positive, and you know, it's gonna create leadership and create community where there hasn't been. What I've seen at Nations that makes me proud, when I ask a youth how to count in their language or say hello or thank you in their language, and they can tell me.
So kihiu means eagle, musquasses means bear, kukam means auntie, grandma, musha means grandpa, and tuk-tuk means duck.
What's your favorite word in Cree?
Eagle because I'm an eagle.
In so many ways, I was trying to find myself in skateboarding, like the community skateboarding has, which has been really fulfilling in a lot of ways. But I think connecting to my culture, you really do feel that connection with your ancestors when you do that stuff. I feel like with Nations, we're able to use skateboarding as like a tool to empower youth and to like give them, I know Rosie always said it, but like, you know, be proud of who you are and be proud of where you come from. And I feel like it rings so true in so many of the communities that we go to.
To be proud of who you are, be proud of where you come from, not to be ashamed. I feel like when you start telling them that at a young age, it's going to change the way they look at themselves, the way they carry on their culture and their traditions, the way that they will have that close relationship with their grandparents, and to learn. I know for me, I've heard stories that broke me, that completely broke me. And it made me mad, it made me angry, it made me sad, it made me pissed right off at the government. But when you're around youth, you know, you want to show them the hope. You definitely want to show them that there's hope out there.
Because it's needed. Someone's got to be here for the youth. Someone's got to be that person, that older brother, older sister needed, that kind of needed, you know? There's nothing like it. So that's why we figured give back. I'm here to teach you. You're not going to fall. I'm going to hold you, okay? Give me your hands. We're just getting started, man.
Having self-determination to be better and to create that community, I think, is something that we want to pass down to the youth as well. Show them what's possible.
Look, Joanna, hey hey look, Joanna, hey hey CGLA, hey hey
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning. My name is Brooke Jensen, and this is your 11 o'clock news. A new housing legislation is expected to be announced today that will specifically target short-term rentals. A news conference in Victoria was scheduled by BC Premier David Eby and Housing Minister Ravi Kahlon. According to a government release, the proposed legislation will rein in the rapidly expanding short-term rental market to favor more long-term homes, as well as give the government more resources to ensure that rules are followed. The Mayor of Victoria, Marianne Alto, is expected to join them. Port Coquitlam has come to massive support in the wake of the Hazel Trembath Elementary School fire. Reporter Nicholas Poitras has details on some of the unique ways that members of the community are trying to help out.
In the wake of the school fire, many Port Coquitlam community members have sprung into support with some distinctive methods of helping out. Motley Crew Adventures, a dog walking service in the Poco area, is donating $5 for every hour of dog walking for the next month. The service is open for new dog owners to join them on their walks in support of Trembath. GoFundMes, support foundations, and small community fundraisers have all popped up in support of teachers and students who lost teaching material and getting new kids back into the classroom. Nicholas Poitras, 1680 The Crow.
670 workers from Metro Vancouver's 5 wastewater plants are picketing outside seeking new collective agreements. The Greater Vancouver District Employees Union says the workers do services such as wastewater collection, infrastructure construction, and air quality monitoring across over 21 municipalities. The union says they have been negotiating for higher wages and enhanced benefits since before December 31st, 2021, when the last contract expired. The Lebanon Hezbollah's groups fighters have now targeted 5 Israeli posts along its southern borders. Karen Chamas from the Associated Press has more on the story.
Hezbollah's military media arm released a video showing snipers shooting at and destroying surveillance cameras along the Lebanon-Israel border. The move comes after days of exchanging fire that left several dead. Israeli troops were seen patrolling in northern Israel as tensions rise with Lebanon's Hezbollah. In the Knesset, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Iran and Hezbollah not to get involved in the fighting. Don't test us in the north. Don't repeat the mistake you already made once, because today the price you will pay will be much heavier. The Israeli Prime Minister was referring to a vicious month-long war between Hezbollah and Israel in 2006. I'm Karen Chamas.
Officials say 2,750 Palestinians and over 1,400 Israelis have been killed since Hamas' initial October 7th attack. The government is desperately trying to get roughly 300 Canadians out of the Gaza Strip in light of an expected Israeli invasion. The Global Affairs of Canada assistant, Julie Sunday, says so far nobody has been able to leave from the city of Rafah in Palestinian to Egypt.
The situation at the Rafah gate is incredibly complex, and nobody got through that gate yesterday. In terms of what we're doing, we're engaging with all interlocutors, both in capitals and in the region, to be able to get an option for people to be able to exit.
Getting into the weather report for today, unsurprisingly it is raining and will be for the most of today, and prepare for possible thunderstorms that could be coming this late afternoon. Despite the showers, The temperatures are still on the warmer side with a low of 12 degrees and a high of 16, and there is less of a chance of showers getting into this evening. That was your news for 11 o'clock. I'm Brooke Jensen, and you are listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.